So,
We are live.
all right. That's great.
Welcome all to the HIT program, or HIT system, we like to call it, Dubai, DXB. So before you start, Sam, I just wanted to say, everyone that's watching, please like, follow, share this page. The support of that helps us in getting this message across to so many more people that are definitely in need for some mental education. So go ahead, Sam.
Good. Just gonna make a quick. All right. Sorry about that, guys. Just launching Instagram at the same time. So bear with me.
Okay. Well.
Yeah. So hold on, just one sec. One sec. Okay. So we're gonna get going with this. That's just amazing, like when you want everything to work, something glitches, right? So
I'm not sure that should be coming from us, positive guys.
Let me see if you got the screen over here. There we go. I don't know if it's gonna work, but anyways, okay, we're gonna go switch off right here, and then we'll log back on. We'll log back on later. Okay, welcome everyone. First of all, we just want to kick off saying thanks for whoever joined last week and sent through their questions, their comments, participated, interacted. That was awesome. That was really cool. Both Rich and myself were absolutely pumped. I mean, pumped that you were there and participating. And so it gives us a drive, like Rich was saying, to deliver this information for people that could use it, find it interesting, inspirational, so we could, keep doing it, obviously. This is what we love to do. Rich knows this. It's like down to our bones and DNA that we love to talk about this subject called human transformation, okay? And we bring it to you basically in a package that we've come up with, really, called human investment technology. And what that really means in the purest sense is it's all about you being the biggest investment, okay? And so we find, after meeting so many clients and learning this stuff, that there's really no other bigger investment than you. You know what I mean? Like when you change, everything changes around you, the way you see the world, the way you navigate through this world. And so that's a quick intro. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, quick intro, starting with me. I'm a performance coach. My name is Sam Eid, and I'm certified NLP practitioner and hypnotist. And what we do basically is help clients, both from the corporate world and one-on-ones, on getting change. Some people want to fix something. Some people want to get better at something. Some people even want to get rid of something, believe it or not. So that's what we enjoy doing for the most part. I'm an ex-producer, TV producer, coming from the world of advertising over 18 years, and now into coaching for the past close to 7 or 8 years right now, where we're delivering tools tried and tested on human behavior, on what we could do to help people reach their goals and be the best version of themselves, which is the topic of this show, inspired by good fellow Dan Williams from last week. And he nailed it when he said, "Man in the mirror." And it's like, wow, that's a great headline. That's a great topic. And basically what we define it as being the best version of you. Rich, over to you.
All right. So my background, those who don't know, is aside from being an avid Carlton supporter in Australian rules football, I've been in the entertainment business for over 25 years, worked with major labels, signed major acts, NLP certified, and also hypnotist like you, Sam, because we did the course together 6 years ago. My field of expertise is also working in corporates, but also coaching, leadership, mental fitness in corporates with artists, entertainers, and more recently, the last couple of years, in the field of sports. So with athletes and teams. So that's my background. I'm excited to come on. It's nice to have Dan Williams in. A big shout out to him because our topic is inspired by his suggestion last week, which was the man in the mirror. So let's get started. We've got a couple of people already watching, and big hello to Andrew Williams and Johnny Allen. Good old Johnny Allen. Look at that, Rich. Always a pleasure. Sam, love your work. So you got a fan there with Johnny Allen, special man from Perth. And I just want to say again, guys, if you could, those that can, please just like, share, put it on Facebook. The more people that watch this and get, we can share out some of our knowledge, tips and tricks. It's amazing, and it helps out the program and etc. So over to you, Sam. Now let's talk about the topic of today, which is the best version of you, the man in the mirror, and how and what, maybe some experiences from clients or corporates that you've worked with, and let's get the show on the road.
Sure. Okay, great. So we're talking about, you ultimately, on what you wish to see, what you wish to become. And for different people, it means different things, right? Some people could be listening to this and say, you know what, I'm pretty good right now. And maybe a bunch of people may say, listen, I'd like to change something. I'd like to do something else. I'd like to become something else. And my personal experience, both from a business world or an advertising world, is branding is an important thing, okay? Who are you? And why should people listen to you? Why should people follow you and stuff like that? Building that credibility. And really what it boils down to is the type of results that you're getting. Like, ask yourself right now, the type of results that you're getting, okay? Now, everyone aspire to, do different things, become different people, whatever that is to them. But we do know one thing, that whatever you've been doing over the past, 5, 10, 15, 20 years can be very, very comfortable, okay? So on a subconscious level, we focus on comfort first, security first, survival first, and for the right reasons. Now, the problem with that ends up is it serves its purpose for a period of time until you need to level up, until you need to step it up. Otherwise, it could literally get you feeling comfortable for so long, okay? Now, let's take a quick common day example right now, what the world's going through. Obviously, we haven't experienced something like this before in terms of the size, on how it's changed the world and impacted the world. So what do? And so for many, many people, this is a time of uncertainty, and rightly so. Like, we don't know what's going to happen next, and we don't have control over it either, but we do have control over ourselves, okay, and how we respond to the situation, right? So that's just a quick kind of a headline on, or a hint on if things are not going the way I want them to go, okay? Life's not perfect, right? Okay, and some have even said life's not fair. But what can I do to respond to the situation, okay? So there's a lovely formula, okay? And I wanted, Rich, if you could type it into the...
Yeah, I'll organize a banner for that, yeah. But yeah, carry on as you do that. And a big hello to Rocco that's watching also.
Yeah, so
our peeps in Melbourne. So let me just put a banner in.
So
you want me to do CSB?
Yeah.
All right, so just explain for those who are watching, because we use this very much. I think this is the be or end all of everything. If you follow this model gives you the answers and tells you, well, explain while I write this down, because I'm finding it hard to multitask. Yeah.
So we're going to show you a quick model, okay? It just consists of 4 letters, okay? It's really quick and simple, all right? And when Rich pops this up, basically we're pointing towards results, okay? So the quick act, if you will, or the quick kind of step towards changing what you wish to become or what you wish to do, is to check your R standing for results. So I want you to look at this backwards, okay? Rich, Can you put, please, a sign that goes C to S to B to R? Can you do that, please?
Yeah,
Okay.
no worries.
So we're starting off with R. R being result. Okay. So check in with yourself. Are you getting the results that you want? Okay. And before that, you have B, which is a behavior. Are you showing up with the behavior? Are you behaving in the way that's giving you that result? And before the behavior, are you showing the emotional state? Are you in the emotional state that gives you that behavior, that gives you that result? Okay. And then before that, check in with your conditioning. C is for conditioning. Now, I like
to explain what conditioning is so people know what it is.
So conditioning is basically what you've learned throughout your life in terms of everything you've learned, everything you're comfortable with. That's basically who you think you are, everything that you do, okay, how you eat, how you walk, how you talk to people, what your normal patterns are, okay? Now, I like to refer to C as also a creation mode, okay? That's what we're going to shift towards. Yeah. So C is conditioning. S is your state, which is fueled by your emotions, followed by B, behavior, and then finally your result. Okay, so
let's give an example. Can we give an example of someone and why this is important in getting the best version of you?
Yeah, sure. So a quick example, okay? You wake up in the morning, okay? You're not particularly in a good state, okay? You just feel things are just, the way they are. And so you get out of bed, wash your face, eat something, go to your car, and you're in this state, okay, which is going to dictate a certain type of behavior. Okay, the type of behavior, it's not really an attitude for a zest for life or that charisma, all right? And then you travel down the highway, and then all of a sudden, either someone beeps at you, cuts you off, or shows you something along the way.
Then here in Dubai, yeah.
And then obviously the result of that is not going to be very pretty. Now that's just a simple, pretty much a kind of a daily goings on that happens with people when they go from point A to point B. Okay, so just to give you an idea of the type of breakdown. Yeah. So if you want to change that result, then check in back with your behavior. Now, chances are that your behavior wasn't really showing or wasn't conducive to something that would get you a good result. Because let's face it, you're not in a great emotional state at the time, okay? And so before that, you are led to believe in your conditioning that this is just the way life is. So why bother changing? You know what I mean? So you keep going on with this pattern over and over and over again, thinking that something outside of you will change. Okay, so the majority of people wait for something outside to happen or to validate something for you in order for you to change. Okay.
Or to get a new result. Yeah.
So basically, what we're here to say is, hold on, let's flip this completely. Now, if we were to spend more time or investment on ourselves, then we can make those little tweaks, okay? That in turn will change how we feel emotionally about something, how we show up and behave, and naturally what type of result we're going to get. So that's typically how it works, okay? Now, the more you work on this, and we're talking about specifically the C in CSBR, that's basically your conditioning, but what I'd like to call your creation mode. That's where you begin to create. That's where you begin to become more responsible on what you'd like to see instead. Now, it doesn't have to be, again, a very huge move. It doesn't have to be something like massive, although you could, but get started with it. That's why we created this program, really, human investment technology, because you're the best technology. This whole system is the most sophisticated piece of hardware, software ever created. Okay, let's remember something. We're the ones that created this system here on the computer. We're the ones, the human beings created this whole program. So chances are it's a reflection of how we actually think and how we're wired. So if we have the ability to actually create something so sophisticated like this, imagine what you could do with your life. And so that's what we're talking about when we look at ourselves in the mirror and say, where do we want to go today? What do we want to do with our life today? Okay. And it could start with small, tiny little actions, because it's like a domino. The moment you change one little thing, then your emotion will change, your behavior will change, of course the result will change. The more you invest into that conditioning and tweak it and change it and enhance it and modify it, everything else changes. That's just a universal law. That's how it works.
I understand that, and I just wanted, for those that are watching, and if they've got any comments, put it out there. That may be something someone's struggling with to get the best version of yourself. Dr. Joes Dispenser, anyone that watches his videos, will say that 90% of our thoughts are the same thoughts of yesterday. And I think this is really, really important. So on the basis of that, that goes right into the key of C, right? Because that's our conditioning. So someone might be looking at this and going, okay, I understand I have to change my state. That creates a different behavior. So I'm feeling good. So someone, let's say, says something to me, and I don't like it, right? And it creates a state. Now, if we look at that as an example and say, okay, so someone said something that's not good to you, your conditioning either say, okay, what does that mean to me? Is that personal? Or you can say, well, that guy's, feel sorry for him, he's a bit sick. That'll change your state. Does that make sense what I'm saying? So based on your conditioning, my beliefs, my values, someone says something silly to me, I can either be in a defensive state or angry state, or it doesn't bother me, which causes my behavior, which gives me a result. It's the best way to sort of explain it in a simple, like everyday life type thing. So the importance on human investment and investing that in ourselves. And here's the thing, and the thing that I mentioned in last week's podcast is that it's good to understand this, that the C is really important to change the results. However, if you don't know how to change the C, and this is where you get a mental coach or someone to come in, right? Because basically your conditioning, your beliefs and values have been stemmed from your learning. It's happened as a child, or your experiences, or repressed emotions, a whole bunch of different things. And that's why a good coach, mental fitness coach, can come in and help you on the C part. And when you help on the C, it reflects on the R, which is the result.
Yeah. So to add to your point, Rich, I mean, that's exactly where we do the work, we spend the time. Now, of course, the person makes those changes. We're just basically, good-looking tour guides when we actually do that. So I think that's an important thing. We really focus on the C. I like to refer to it as your creative mode or your creation mode, because that's really where we're creating from. It's basically from within you. And when you change with something within you, something outside changes as well. That's just how it works. Now, when we look out the outer world, okay, it's very important to note that the outer world has a very huge role to play, in the sense that it's constantly giving us feedback. It's a feedback loop. Whatever's out there would indicate to us, if you're not getting the results you're looking for, then something has to change on the C level, which is a creative level, okay, internally. And the more you actually spend more time, hence that's why we call it the biggest investment, human investment. Technology is you, okay? It's nobody else, not your wife, your brother, sister, partner, parents, nobody. No one's gonna, I saw a nice post yesterday by Ali. He said, no one's gonna come and save you. Only you could save yourself. And that, every time I get reminded and seeing that, I think, yeah, it's so true that we have to depend on ourselves to make all the changes we need to become better. Of course, it's a work in progress. We keep learning something new, but at least we're ahead of that curve. We're taking more ownership, because ultimately we're talking about empowerment. And when you're in an empowered state, you can do a whole bunch of things. You can do so many great things. You affect great people. It's contagious.
Can I just say, when you were talking about that comment or that statement you heard, I've heard a really good statement that I think is amazing, is that you are where you are because of who you are. And I love that.
Yeah, it's great.
The basis of who you are, which is the basis of your conditioning and your states and your behaviors, is giving you a result. So that's the best way to explain CSBR, which is not easy to say 5 times in a row. But
CSBR, 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 CSBR. Yes, it is.
You're a bit of a machine. I want to see if anyone's got any comments out there, and if they want to put comments, please put it in the comments section, and please like, share. Look, this is really important. It's not to blow our own Trump or Trump or anything like that. It's more about we do this for the passion. We're passionate about mind fitness. We do this to help people. There might be someone out there that's not getting the best version of themselves, and they don't know why. And if you just went through this little model and you realize that most of the time they're either in a shit state, which is based on their conditioning. Oh, it's over. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, I'm too old. All based on your conditioning, which is giving you results. Just think about it. Think about when you feel really good and with a positive intent, what type of results you can get. I'm not saying it's a guarantee to get positive results or you'll get the job or you'll make the money, but it'll put you in a better stead to go out there and get something. And it's something about being in a different state, which is a topic for another show in future, that puts you in a different frequency that allows you to get different things. I truly believe in that. And I'm not sure if anyone else does, but you've got to be in a different frequency. And here's the thing, and I worked with this with football players and people, individuals from experience, is that everyone's got the potential. You could be a potential to be the next big rock star or superstar player, whatever it is. But sometimes they're getting mediocre results or whatever. It's all got to do, and it stems from the C. And when we can either reverse engineer it to get the results and then work on the C, or go the other way. And what we do as mental coaches is go in there and help with the programming, basically, because it's a program. Like what you said earlier, it's like a computer. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And a quick telltale sign on that is when you notice yourself obviously feeling too comfortable, but you seek a change, like you want things to change, then that's a quick hint from your subconscious or unconscious mind basically telling you, listen, we're comfortable here. You know what I mean? You know there has to be something to change. Okay, get working now. And so, like Rich was saying, a lot of our work really boils down to that simple formula, CSBR. Okay, everything is in there. Now, traditionally, people used to change the behavior, change your emotional state, get you hyped up and motivated. And it's a temporary fix, okay? Like you would feel motivated to do something, to act a certain way for a certain period of time. But
so that's working on the S part.
Exactly.
To change the state. So you go see Tony Robbins' video, you see this, you're pumped up, and your behavior is like, yes, I'm going to do it. And you still haven't got the results, but I'm going to do it. So you go out, you do a bit of action, but it's not enough gas because the gas comes from the sea.
Exactly. Not enough gas. Exactly. So you need to light it up. And what that means is you need to feel that on a visceral, deeper level inside of you and understand it, that that's the way the needle changes or shifts across. And then it becomes to take over. That's why they say people that love what they do, they lose themselves in the work. They become possessed or obsessed into the activity that they enjoy it so immensely. I mean, look at a clay potter, you know, the ones that work with clay and stuff. These people lose themselves. Same thing with dancers, basketball players. That's when they've entered the so-called flow state.
Or the zone.
Or the zone. And that's when things start to really get exciting. It's almost like you're there, but you're not there. And that's when you really feel that you're part of something. And you don't care really what it is, but you just enjoy that flow.
But Sam, don't you think sometimes that people don't know through their limitations, and both of us can say this through experience, throughout their limitations, they don't know what the best version of them is. Like, and then sometimes your C gets completely crashed because of an event that you have to change by force, as they say, change or be changed, right? You lose your job. So you've been safe, or a lockdown happens, or because of macro environmental things, it's completely out of your hands. The market's, it's gone, dire.
Yeah.
So my question is, where I'm heading on this. What do you think of that? Like, what just from your experience?
Well, first of all, like you said, it's like change or be forced to change. That's really the binary question. Either you're going to change it yourself, or something or some external force is going to force you to change. And I think we've gotten a pretty good taste of that on the happenings around the world. Okay, and so by saying that, I think let's understand something. Our life, this journey, is basically a work in progress. Okay, we're constantly evolving. I think we need to come to terms with that. It's not a flick of the switch and you carry that forever and you won't get any challenges later. Of course not. Come on, we'd be naive to think that life is like this. Of course, you're going to be getting curveballs being thrown at you every single day.
That's life. That's life.
And so I call it a work in progress. Going back to the clay potter, the one who works with clay, this guy's constantly shaping this thing as this wheel starts to move around and around, and shaping and designing and forming. So that's just one quick metaphor.
Sam, we've got a comment here in the comments, and I'd like you to read it. It's from John Allen, which is a dear friend of mine. Maybe we can help him on this. And just wanted to put it out there before I put this up, is that in future, and while we do these shows, we're happy to do demonstrations and help people. Obviously, if you want to go out there and you want to witness some change, we can do some pretty amazing stuff with hypnosis. We can show you some things. We can also, remove someone's headache in about a couple of minutes if they really want to, with an intent. So there's a lot of things that we can do and would want. I'd implore people to come on in future. So as you read that, what is it? Okay. Thanks, John, for this. Great stuff, guys. I struggle with my state at times, or should I say, with my own tolerances of people whose values I feel don't align with mine. Got the answer for that. Sam, you can do that. My coping mechanism is avoidance. It always catches up with me at some point and is externalized on some poor victim. I'm constantly seeking deeper methods to dealing with my own deficiencies. Does this make sense? Absolutely does. How do I let go of obsessions and spend more time on me when I'm very time poor? Sam.
Okay, great question. There's a few things in there, to be honest with you. There's a few things. And
thanks for sharing, John. That's ballsy to do that, and we appreciate that. It's the first step, by the way, is to go out and say, I need help, like what we said last week. Carry on, Sam. Interrupted you.
Cool. So you touched on something on the values and beliefs, okay? That I think it's something to the effect of, it's something to the effect of, whenever that, that pops up, people don't align to my values. So that's on a value and belief scale, okay?
Which is in the C.
Yeah, of course.
If we're going through this.
It's all in there. It's all in there. On that level, John, this is where we do an introspection on basically not expecting anything or anyone to behave exactly like the way you want them to, okay? That's just on a baseline foundational level, okay?
We call this the map of the world. We call this the map of the world. So your map of the world, the way you see it, and once we have that understanding, you see the map, your map of the world is different than the way I see the map of the world. Carry on.
So when you're actually seeing that through your lens, that's basically going to filter through your internal representation system of what you wish to see and how you wish to react. Now, you did mention that it keeps popping up later on. Now, it keeps popping up is because you haven't dealt with it. really. And so when we deal with it on a C level, okay, or conditioning level, that's basically changing the landscape of what you wish to see. Now, you have to understand, we're all human beings. We have different points of view. We have different beliefs. We have different values to some degree. And so to force anyone outside of you to align with your beliefs is practically impossible, because the way things work is they believe something totally different. Okay. And so when you see things through the lens of an attitude where it becomes more embracing, okay, then you'll begin to see things a little bit differently. Okay. Now, you did mention the word deficiency.
And you mentioned time, Paul, also.
Yeah. But before that, I will say there's nothing deficient about it. Okay. As human beings, we are non-deficient. Okay. That word does not fit in. Okay. It's just a question of learning more about yourself. Okay. And then making those adjustments. Okay. Because nobody's really broken. So there's not really much to fix. It's just that learning a little bit more about yourself on a subconscious or unconscious level that will allow you, because this is your life, to actually receive this world and embrace this world in a more warm, inviting type of approach. So there's no deficiency. Okay, you have to remember that no one's broken.
I know, but it's easier to say that, Sam. And this is the thing I know, because we can say there's no deficiency, but you go, okay, but I feel deficient.
Well, that's the feeling that you'll get. But as we know, the presenting problem is never the problem. Okay, that may give you an alert to say, listen, I'm not happy with this, or this makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. Well, then great. At least that's a quick message or a signal to you to perhaps do a little bit of further introspection. Okay, and that's all part of what we're talking about when we talk about the HIT system, the human investment technology. Pour more time into yourself. And so
but it's time for.
Yeah, I know. But when people say they don't have time, what are we talking about? I'm sure anyone has time for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Maybe you don't have time in the morning. Well, then wake up a little bit earlier, just a little bit earlier. We're not talking about a huge amount of time here. We're talking about 5 minutes, maybe 10, to spend on the most investment, which is you. Because I promise you, John, if you're actually making the work inside, doing all that you need to do from within, that could shift. You'll start to begin to see the world much, much differently and the people in it. And
can I say, go ahead. Now, I was just going to say, the other thing is when we say we're time poor, if you do a basic audit, and like what you're saying, either get up early or whatever, and then also look at how much time we're spending on a particular thing, right? You can eliminate so many different ways, hours, to be more efficient. So I think, wrapping up this, because we've got a comment from Dan also.
Before we jump on, sorry, Rich, before we jump onto that, I also wanted to continue because you hit on a really important good word.
All right, we'll get to Dan's after this, and I'll show that in a moment. Yeah.
Called priorities. Set your priorities. Ask yourself and list down at least 3 things that are the most important things for you as a priority. And they're non-negotiable. Okay? I promise you find 2 or 3 or 4 things that are your priority, everything will start to align. Your time that you need to make, how early you need to sleep, everything will start to change. What you've effectively done is reverse engineered your outcome based on your priorities. Once your priorities are set, they're non-negotiable, everything will slowly start to fit into place. It'll start to make sense. And that's another reason why we talk about the human investment technology, because it's a 360-degree approach on reverse engineering what you find to be most important to you and what you wish to become.
And can I just say, if you look at Dan's comment, what he's saying there is that we spend so much time on others and not on ourselves. And this is essentially what he's saying. And it's so true that we're not saying don't spend time on others, but actually you can actually help others more when you spend more time on yourself first and clear up all that baggage and try to get yourself to the optimum. But it's always going to be constant. So there's no one size magic pill things. This is all part of life. that's going to get us more stronger and wiser. And we've got a comment from John. He's just saying, sorry, I think that's towards you. Wonderful point. I've seen that as a deficiency of mine. So after the build-up crescendos into externalization, I always question myself. Again, there's an answer for that. I think that's got to do with self-belief. And believe it or not, and it's probably a topic we're going to talk about, that we get a lot of people asking, and when we coach people, is about self-confidence, self-belief. Even though you might go out and portray it and etc., it's a very, very common thing. I do it with athletes. I know with a lot of footballers, they might have had a great, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, and then all of a sudden they're not playing well. So how do you go back there and build that back up? And that starts with the C again, right? Sorry, go ahead.
I want to jump on that. Well, first of all, I hope we've answered John's question first, and thank you for sharing that as well. But before we get on to the next question, they're amazing questions. When you said there's no, that's what I feel, first of all, that's awesome, okay? That's like the very first step to being amazing, is constantly questioning yourself, not doubting yourself. Notice I said questioning yourself. Why do I feel this way? Okay, that's a very important thing. It sounds very, very simple, but why do I feel this way? How come this happened? What do I need to do to shift? These are just quick questions. Remember, they're not doubts. So the more you can question yourself, the better, because we're constantly evolving, constantly
It's an
growing.
audit.
Exactly. We like to call it an audit, to be honest. When we work with corporates, organizations, or CEOs, we do a quick audit on where are they placed in terms of their map of the world. Okay, so now going back to the other point on going back to, which one was it?
No, Dan's put here, one of the key tools I use on myself at work with people is the tree of interaction. Fantastic tool for people to eliminate a lot of your worries. I'm not familiar with that. Maybe Dan could tell us about it. I'm not familiar. Are you familiar with it?
No, I haven't seen it that way before. Although I'm guessing when you mentioned,
I think it's like branches and yeah. But I'd love to know more about it. We might even get Dan to come on and just tell us about it, and then we can start wrapping up the show. And he's saying, Sam, spot on here. Reverse engineering is the answer to everything in the world. Totally agree. Dan, if you're around, we'll send you the link, and you can come up and you can tell us what the tree interaction is. That'll be really good for our listeners, just to from your world, because we want to also bring in the experiences to people.
We're about what, 40 minutes in now, almost 40 minutes in. So that's awesome.
I'm gonna send an invite to Dan
before
you to come on.
Yeah, send him an invite. I also want to touch on priorities. Maybe we can cover this in the next session next week on priorities, or switching your states quickly. I mean, there's a temporary fix that we teach that can help people improve to them on the spot that this thing works, okay? And we can cover priorities as well. See, human investment technology is basically a 360-degree approach, using all your senses from the outside in terms of signals, messages, and then processing that internally and translating that into something that you could tweak and change from the inside out. Hope that makes sense.
Absolutely. I've just seen a message from John Allen. He's a beauty. He's saying, thanks, Sam and Rich, especially for not turning me into a chicken or a stripper. However, I'm not closed-minded to actual hypnotism. Have a great day, guys. Got to go.
See you later, John.
But, the first step, like what we said, is to say that we have an issue and we want to work it out. I'm just going to bring in Dan Williams, the POM, and it'll be interesting to hear what he's got to say regarding this. And this is our first guest, so let's get him on. Dan.
Hello, how are we all doing?
Hey, Dan.
Really good. Good to have you on, my friend.
Oh,
and we're not talking Carlton.
You're doing something very important as well, so I love things like this.
Awesome.
Very good. So tell us about the tree interaction, because I've never heard of it, but tree of interaction. But fill us in, or fill in at least our listeners
Okay. Okay, well, it's something that I do every day because believe it or not.
Tell the people what you do aside from doing great stuff on the Carlton Football Club, the other side of things.
Oh, well, my role is I'm a development manager. So my chief thing is doing things like onboarding, doing one-on-ones with staff in administration and also sales environments. So basically, I'm a people's person. But what surprises a lot of the people I coach is I suffer massive self-doubt. So my brain works overtime, and it's something I've suffered from, but I live with. And one of the tools I use is what we call the tree of interaction. So I've done one incidentally. I do it every time I have an interaction. So it's my safety blanket, if you will. So this morning, I had an interaction with the lady at McDonald's at the drive-thru. And I asked her,
yeah.
So how the tree of interaction works is you put a situation. So here I've got 8:35, coffee, drive-thru, McDonald's, Werribee, right? And I asked the question, how's your day been, my love? And she ignored me and then said, sorry, what did you want? And I was like, oh, I'm just waiting for the latte. And she was like, okay, cool, whatever, right? Now, the tree of interaction then has 3 avenues. One, how did that make me feel? Well, it made me feel like I was less of a person. Maybe she ignored me. And then from that tree, I give all my feelings. Now, this scares me because it's where my brain went. Maybe I'm ugly. Maybe I've put on a bit of weight during COVID. Maybe my accent doesn't work anymore. If I was single, would I be able to get a girl? And it basically transcends. And then from there, the second column is what really happened. Maybe she was having a bad day. Maybe she was busy. Maybe she had a headset on and someone asked her a question, the whatever was to her. And the third column is, once we've analysed that, has it affected the rest of my day? And the answer was no. It was a fleeting moment that I had all this self-doubt. Maybe it was aimed at me. But in reality, she was probably having a shitty day. And I've taken it that way. And in the third column, I didn't mention it to her. And there's the big underlying thing. So I can't keep it in my brain if I haven't mentioned it. It deserves no headspace. So it's something that I use with guys and girls at work, especially in team situations, because it happens all the time. Someone says a fleeting comment. I mean no malice by it, but someone takes it that way. And it's always the important thing in the third column. Did you confront that problem? If you didn't, it goes in the bin because obviously it wasn't worth you thinking about.
Yeah. So in this particular case, what was your state, the actual state?
Oh, there was a fleeting moment where everything I've wrote down, I've told you, I started to have all this self-doubt. Maybe it's me. Maybe she thinks I'm a dickhead. Maybe I'm not funny anymore. Maybe I'm ugly. Maybe I have put weight on. I didn't put them pants on. And it's amazing how, and I actually presented this today to some of my staff, it's amazing how one little comment has made me think about the fact that I put my 32-inch jeans on at the weekend and they were a little tight. And I started to think, have I put a lot of weight on? And how that comment of her ignoring me, asking how her day is, has transcended in my brain to remember that. So I've now got a list of things to work on. Do you know what I mean? Just from one interaction, but it's about being self-aware. Like,
absolutely. And that's your audit.
Oh, Dan, I audit myself
that's
all
your
the time.
Audit.
Everything
no,
I
but
say.
I'm saying that's your audit. That because what's happening is, and if we're talking about your state, so even if you go through this CSVR model, I'm going to get Sam to explain where it's happening for you, where you're getting those thoughts. And it all starts with the C. So Sam, go ahead, tell Dan where it comes from, and then how he can nullify that if he wants to in the future.
Well, first of all, it's a great story, Dan. That's amazing. I love to hear that kind of analogy, if you will, on the tree and the branches and stuff. And as a talking point, I could almost bet that you picked that up because it's pivotal that it starts with you. As being the initial kind of instigator of what you want to ripple out. So I loved it, absolutely. Now, I would question you and say, what does it mean to you in your model of the world to create this type of a system, which is a beautiful system, and how would you like it to make you feel?
Oh, I think basically the premise of it is to not feel like that. So it's to really take things at face value. Not, I'm one of them people that looks and thinks you're saying something you're not, just naturally. So I think this model helps you realize that half of the things you take as a bad thing are in your head, not in someone else's mouth.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. You're like, fundamentally, you're right. It sounds to me that your model of the world, or that view that you have, is a great model. But what I would do, if I may, is suggest that you put into that model, because it's a lovely model, any defaults. When I say defaults, as in anything that will trigger you, to have those removed, perhaps. And what I mean by that is, for example, if I'm going out and starting my day in the world, I'll get out of the house, get into the car, knowing that I have challenges ahead of me. But those challenges are just going to be stepping stones, because I need that to create a little bit of friction, a little bit of resistance for me to take off. So I made my model into something where I need resistance. And it's not because I love to hit the gym. I'm a gym buff, to be honest. I'm a gym rat. And I love the resistance. I like to feel resistance, because just like a plane needs that gush of wind in order for it to take flight, I need that. But that's my model of the world. So if you want to take that and get inspired by using something in that tree model, which is a lovely model.
I love it. Such a great model.
Then you could actually start injecting, literally creating the landscape of that tree, that if that thought were to come in, that someone's second guessing you or having other, chit chatter about you when they're not, maybe.
Or they've had a shit day or whatever. They've had a shit day or whatever.
And all of a sudden you put a handbrake on that. You maybe cover it up completely. Maybe you get a gush of wind throwing it away. You can literally set that up into your model. And this is something we learned when we took it with Dr. Mike Mandel, called mindscaping. It's such a creative landscape of the mind, if you will, where you start to put bits and pieces, knowing very well that life's a challenge. Every day we've got something or another popping up. And then when it does, it's not so much of a surprise to me. I see it as some sort of a kind resistance, a little bit of tension, just like the gush of wind that I need to take off. And so you could literally seed and plant anything in your mind, the landscape of your mind, using that lovely tree analogy, and set it up where you could just give it and inject it anything that you want, knowing very well from the onset that if something were to resist it or create a little bit of friction, it's absolutely welcome. And you need that to go to the next level. It's almost like a video game.
I've got a really good point on that tree, and I'd love to use it if I can, Dan, because I think it's a fabulous way of looking at how things just go from different ways. I'd go further as the coach and go, it all starts with the stump, which is you, right? And the branches are out. So if you just deal with things on the outside, it's almost like someone's dealt with anger or anything else, but they've repressed it. In the end, it's short-term fixes. What you got to do is you got to work on the stump. And when you work on the stump, just like what Sam is saying, your branches will be even stronger. So when that wind comes, it's not moving. It's like, oh yeah, they're having a shit day. You know what? If you're having a shit day, I wish you a great day. All of a sudden, that branch has become stronger because the stump underneath is stronger because you've actually worked on it. And this is the key point that I wanted to sort of put that. And I love the analogy because I want to use it. And I'll say copyright Dan Williams 2021 on that. But do you see what I'm saying? So because when you're thinking like this, am I becoming fat? And just let's get to what the problem is. Self-doubt, etc. It's not the only thing is the McDonald's woman's gonna trigger that. Something else could trigger that. Someone might give you a funny look. Someone might not like the videos you do, right? You might take it personal. A whole bunch of different things. So what I would suggest to you, Dan, is that you got to work on those core things, and we all have it. We've all worked through it, and I'm not saying you haven't improved. You've probably done much better, and you've got a unique story also. But working on them, putting your hand up and saying, you know what, I want to work on this. I want to make my stump much stronger. I want those branches to come in absolutely super healthy, that when anything comes through the wind, well, then that's going to be my state. My state's going to be positive. Not because I'm saying I need to be positive, because that's fake. It's not, the branch will end up breaking. But it's got to be real, authentic. And that'll create different behavior, and it'll give you different results. And like what I was saying at the start of the program is that, trust me, and I've worked with so many different people of this, when your frequency is at a different level, and I know because I watch your videos, when you're up and about and you're passionate, you're up there, different things happen. Some ideas come from you don't even know where, and it's gold, you know? So anyway, go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to touch on the tree analogy, going deeper in the roots, right? Because the deeper in the roots, obviously the more, you know, strength the tree has. And it's something that we use as a side on hypnosis. The deeper you go, the better you feel. And knowing very well that the more, you know, depth that you get, you feel a certain groundedness, a certain centeredness that nobody can shake. You literally become unshakable, both metaphorically, as a proverbial type of approach. You're not shakeable, and that's so great that you touched on that, Rich, when you said good morning and you go have a good day. It reminds me of Jim Carrey, where he tops it off, knowing that I'm just going deeper. I'm going deeper of myself. Like,
can I give an example of something?
Give me a sec.
You know, the mind will always see what it wants to see, right? But that's all got to do with the roots, the actual roots of it. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, whatever your mind wants to see, based on your conditioning, it will see it, and that'll create your state. So I'll give you a small example. Maybe Sam, you can give Dan an example, then we can wrap up. Of like the hands, maybe he could do it, and you know, one's growing bigger. So do you want to try that? It was just an improv.
Yeah,
Sam.
Yeah, let's do that right now. Okay, but I'm gonna pre-frame this. Okay, Dan, Rich, while I want you to put your hands together. Okay, just like this, right? And we're just pretending. So I really want you to have fun with this. Okay, so just have fun and just. Believe what
I'm going to hypnotize you, no, because I can see if he's worried now. He's on there. Don't do it.
No, this is fun.
It's not hypnosis. It's just something to, and you can use this, Dan, for your coaching and stuff. So this is the whole point. We want to show you this. Okay. Go ahead.
What we're doing, we're just having fun. Just pretend. Okay, that's all we're doing. Okay, and so just for a moment, I want you to stare at your hands in front of you. I want you to raise
let the listeners look at this also. So anyone that's watching, do the same, right? Like so.
So Dan,
like
I want
pretty even.
Yeah, I want you to raise your hand up in front of your face, please. Just like me and Rich. Yeah, good. Now I want you to focus on your finger in the middle, your tallest finger. Okay. When you focus on it, you don't have to close your eyes. You can do it with your eyes open. Good. And when you focus on the tallest finger, I want you to. It's maybe your left hand or your right hand. I don't know. I want you to choose one. And I want you to look at that finger and internally say, grow, grow, grow. Keep saying that repetitively. Okay, while you look at that finger and focus on it. Okay, and as we're doing it, just only imagine that you're just looking at that finger saying, grow, 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 grow.
It's working.
Look at it.
Do you notice how the finger's growing there?
Yeah, it's a bit trippy, yeah.
Yeah. So just grow. Now you can keep going with this. It's so funny. It's so freaky that you can just keep going with it. And then your whole hand will start to like rise. Okay.
And you'll notice that one finger is becoming a lot bigger than the other finger, like on there where it first started. And that's the point.
I can feel it. Yeah, it's a crazy, trippy sensation. Yeah.
So the point of that. Can
I break that down, Rich? Yeah. So let's just break that down. What happened? Okay. The first suggestion was we're just pretending, okay? So we're just having fun, okay? So what you've done psychologically is just entered the doorway of your subconscious mind by doing just that move. The moment I said pretend or imagine, you were there. And then when you're there, just like a child, you focus on something and you want it to happen. And whatever instruction you give your unconscious mind or subconscious mind, it will happen. If you really, truly believe that it would, it will. And so that's just a quick test of something, how we go about our days. If we truly, truly believe that this could be an awesome day, an amazing day, I'm going to make some friends, I'm going to meet some new people, network, and connect with people on a deeper level, it will happen when it starts with you. But you just got to believe. You got to be playful with this, just like a child would at the age of 6, 7, 8, or 9. They just do it. They don't think twice. So I want a great day. Do it.
And here's the thing, and the trick with hypnosis, what we do, it's not a trick, but the reality of it, Dan, is like, just for those who don't know, I worked with Dan on a small phobia that he had. If you went out of that conversation with me and gone, oh yeah, it was okay, I don't really believe it, again, it's your conditioning to see, right? You wouldn't get the results, I'm telling you. But when you go, shit, wow, that actually works. I don't see that anymore like that. Why have I had that phobia for so many years? We've changed your conditioning in 10 minutes, right? To change the results. It's a perfect example, because in the end, what happened is you've gone, all right, he knows his stuff. He's going to do this. I'll give it a crack. You've seen that you're looking at it differently now, and your results have changed. But if you didn't believe in me or believe in yourself to do that and created that investment in yourself, you wouldn't have got the results.
It wouldn't happen.
So,
exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And just to add to Richard's point, that's exactly what we refer to when we talk about human investment technology. We've got all the hardware, the software to make all those tweaks, those changes. And then what we offer is this playful mood of change. Because the mind, as we know, or the brain specifically, is plastic. That's what we create neuroplasticity. On learning new behaviors, on the C level, the creation level, the creative level. And when we say creation, it's playful. Just like a clay potter is actually working with clay and moving it around and molding it and folding it, creating some new thing.
It's the same. Hey, listen, and just on a final point, thanks for jumping on, Dan. It's like something that's dear to us, like some footballers that we both know, even maybe someone like SBS, an example, and Sam doesn't know who he is, but the guy's got potential. We've seen it 1 week, 2 weeks. What's lacking in him? And if you want to use that tree analogy,
huge.
Right, it goes back to the stump, right? Because the guy's shown it. He can do it. He's had an outstanding game. No one's been able, and this is why I'm going to put it out there. I want to work with him.
Put it out there.
Go out there. No, I'm going to put it out there because I want to work with him.
Put it out
Dan's
there.
Going to help. Dan's going to help me get onto this guy if we keep him for next year. If you work on his stump, the branches will change. It'll be a lot more stronger, and you'll be able to withhold. It's not saying that you're not going to have a shit game. You will occasionally, but it's how he deals with that situation at that moment. It's like the McDonald's girl coming to you and saying, oh yeah, whatever. It's like him playing and he's missed that shot or whatever it is. He's done his dinky kick or whatever it is. It's him building up that stump to be super strong. And that's the purpose of today's show. So yeah.
No, spot on. I mean, why I always find the tree works is because I think my stump and roots are pretty good. My biggest strength is my biggest weakness. Like with the hypnosis, I'll try anything once and that gets me into a lot of trouble. But what I think is important about it is I'm a visual person, and I find that 90% of the people I work with are visual people. If you actually write it down, most people can follow the instructions. Whether they're any other type of learning, most people can follow instructions, even children. So I always find when I wrote down, her ignoring me this morning made me feel fat. I actually chuckled in the car while I had a cigarette because I was like, as if my brain has come up with that. What a fucking stupid thing. And I have to write it down. So once I write it down and then I read the tree back, The big caveat to this is the branches, the leaves on them branches are the armor that the world sees. So do I want shit leaves or do I want pretty leaves? And if I let that blossom into a leaf, my tree would be ugly. And eventually we're going to have to get an arborist in and cut half my body off and hope it grows back again. So the quickest way to do it is do what a tree does, and it cuts off the supply to that branch. And eventually it dies and a new one grows. So as soon as I wrote it down, I was like, that's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Over a coffee, sort yourself out. She's 18. And and it stays in the diary, but it stays in the diary. And like I showed my staff today, what is important is today they're graduating some of them onto the sales floor. And the first thing I do is I shared this story and implored them to do it because they speak to people and people are horrible. So you're always going to have these doubts from other people. Make sure you treat them as stupid because they're not. They're not real. Once you write them down, you'll realize not real. But the biggest one is today we have the ritual burning ceremony. So because they're trainee salespeople, this afternoon about 4:30, we will burn on the webcam their badges that say trainee, because I am a firm believer that once I sign you off, you're no longer a trainee. You are now a 10-year member of my staff. So, and you start thinking like that and start thinking that I'm equal to everyone else, and you get rid of the training moniker, you're totally fine. Because once Pom says you're fine, you're fine. And that's all you need.
Look at the metaphor. Look at the metaphor in that, burning it away.
So we burn it. So, I mean, talking about SPS, I would be saying to him, you're a midfielder. And I would burn everything in the house that says defender and say, I want you to do that. Anything you've read with your name and defender gets burned. You're a midfielder now. And you start living like a midfielder, you'll be a midfielder.
Correct.
I just noticed something. My lighting, I just changed my lighting a little bit. Yeah, okay. I've got life again. Sorry, man.
Let there be light.
Let there be light. Anyway. I think we're going to wrap this up, and we've got some really interesting. Please, anyone that's out there, please like, share. It's been a great episode having you on today, Pommy. Like and share our page. We've got some really interesting topics we've got coming up. I think, Pommy, you will like these ones. We want to do hypnosis live. Whoever's ballsy enough to go out there and do it, but we're happy to do that. We're going to do. We're going to get rid of people's headaches live on the show.
Yeah,
and we can do that also.
Come on board. Whoever has a headache, maybe even a migraine, who knows, whatever you want to call it. Come on board.
And we can do that. Like, we'll show you the power of the mind and what can be done. And we look at ourselves almost like guidance, like a guidance to help people through that. And the more interaction, that's why I love having you on, Pom. And please, anytime you want to jump on, you're more than welcome. You're a wise guy, and you speak of what a lot of people have out there. And you're not the first guy that's gone to McDonald's or gone to Dunkin' Donuts or someplace and they've had these types of feelings. We have that. Or the boss says something.
That irony of feeling a little bit chubby and going to McDonald's, there's irony in that.
Well, it's not only that. Think about it in the workplace. Today, your boss has had a bad day. Your boss, right? And you go, oh, shit, and I didn't get the result. Then all of a sudden that self-doubt will kick in and say, am I good enough? And what we tend to say is, and to wrap this up, is that that's why the investment in you is so important. But you've got to work on those things. And even though and your mechanism is writing it down, and that's great, it works. My question is where I'd go with you, Dan, for the next step. If I was to work with you, it's no longer to write it down because you can do it. No need. It's done. If that works for you, it's great. If it keeps on rearing its head again, then there's an issue that you got to work on if you want to get rid of it. Does that make sense? You don't even need to do it.
If you read that book, there's some daft thoughts in there. There is some barn pot thoughts. Like, I reckon if someone got hold of that book, I might do long, hard time. My brain's a dark, exciting place.
I'm just imagining what you would do to some of the Carlton players. But anyway, that's for another topic. Let's wrap up. Dan, thanks for jumping on. We're going to wrap up our show. So we're going to remove you from the podcast. Always a pleasure. Please. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks a lot, Dan, for joining. It was a great session. What an amazing guy. And before we wrap up, Rich, we're just a little over an hour. Can you believe that? Just talking about CSBR.
It went so quick, but it was so good to have our friend Dan on. So we've got to wrap up anyway. Till next week, we'll come up with a topic. This week was your best version of you.
I'm thinking about either priorities. What do you think about priorities? I just felt that peeped up quite a few times on, the importance of priorities.
Yeah, that's a good one. We can discuss, and we'll put the topic up there. Maybe the importance of priorities and what that means to you. But I think the more that we talk about this, and the more that people get to understand, it's about your conditioning, and that actually, and it's amazing that because we're fortunate enough to work with so many people to see significant change, and it can happen. You got to put your hand up and say, hey, I don't know how to do it. I'm trying to do my own system. Like Dan. Dan's doing his writing system. It's great. It's working. Question is whether or not that's temporary. And if it's temporary, then we can work on fixing it. So on that note, my friend,
I just want to leave with one final thing as well, is 3 quick things that will, if you ask yourself, that's when change can really happen really quickly. First is identifying that change needs to happen. Okay. Second thing is change needs to happen with me. Okay. As in you. And last is change needs to happen now. And that's basically how change happens, because let's face it, there's no other point than the present moment when something can change and start new behaviors, fire up new and wire up new neurology that will have creating new behavior to become and do something that you prefer instead. So that's what I want to leave you with. I think it was a fantastic episode. I had a lot of fun. How about you, Rich?
Absolutely, it's great. I want to add some music in the future also, but I'm not sure about copyright with YouTube, but that's for another topic. And please, out there, if you're out there, if you've enjoyed it, please like and share. There's you don't know who it might reach. Trust me, that might be having that same problem or thinking like that, like what Dan said, which is a common thing. And just putting this out there can give some people some ideas and stimulate them to make some change. And that's what we're all about. So thanks again for jumping onto the Hit DXB podcast, StreamYard, whatever you want to call it. This is Sam and I signing out. Adios. Thank you. Ciao. Bye.